My first tips and tricks video was geared towards fairly new and beginner players, and this one will be geared towards more intermediate and advanced players, and hopefully everyone will be able to pick up something they didn't know. Starting with, do you know how you can see all the lines like this in full color? Of course, you can always click on one particular line and it'll light it up, but how do you make it so that you can see all of them at once in color? Because for instance, if you open up the line manager, you can see all the lines like this, but it's in black and white. So to get it all in color without this black and white filter going on, you can actually use the numpad keys, which will open up this menu up here. So if I press number 1 on the numpad, or I press number 2, opens up navigable waters, number 3 opens up land use, and so on. It kind of goes down the menu as I'm pressing the numpad keys. If you press the same button twice in a row, it'll open up and close the menu like I'm doing here. So if you use that in combination with the line manager, if you open up the line manager like this and just press any number on the numpad and then press it again, it'll actually remove that black and white filter, so now you can zoom out and see all the lines in your network in color. And this is great, but what if we want to add a truck to one of these lines? This massive tangle of lines, there must be over hundreds of lines. If we go back to our original example over here by Hadley, and we try to add a truck to either maybe this grain line, or maybe this silver ore mine, yeah, this would be a good one because we're overflowing on resources there. We'd have to come in, we'll want to buy a truck that will carry the item we want, in this case silver ore, and let's just go ahead and buy the cargo specific truck that carries silver because it carries more than the all-purpose box trucks do. So let's buy one of these, and then if we want to put it on this line, we named it cargo truck Hadley silver. So we're gonna have to go through and set it, and we're gonna have to find among all of these lines, we'll have to search for Hadley, click silver. Not the end of the world to find it if you have a good naming convention, but there's a significantly easier way to do it to filter out all the clutter from all of these lines all over the map, and that is simply and easily to press this little eyeball button. And then with that eyeball button selected, it will only show the lines that you have visible on the screen, narrowing it down to just these 3 lines, in which case makes it very easy to actually put the truck on the line. Additionally, if you're trying to find all the vehicles on a line, the eyeball button also works in both the vehicle manager and the line manager. So for instance, if I want to see what lines are connected to just this truck depot right here, I can zoom my view to go to just this cargo hub right here, and then I can look at these. Same thing works over here at the train depot connected. If I zoom in here so that just the train lines are on my screen, it'll filter down to just this line right here, and it looks like it actually caught a bit of a plane route, cargo plane in there, but the eyeball button is an incredibly helpful way to see what lines as well as what vehicles are on the lines right here. For instance, again, if I press the eyeball button, filters down to just the lines that are here, and then I can go through and see my trucks and upgrade as needed. Additionally, everything you're seeing here was made in my Island Hopper Let's Play style series, so if you want to see me do all of this from scratch on hard difficulty, go and check that out. And one comment I got several times across the playthrough was how I make my bridges. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, I know how to make a bridge, but just hear me out, there might be a couple keyboard shortcuts that you're not familiar with. So let's look at this bridge over here, and let's just go ahead and make a similar one. So I'm just going to use a road for this example, but you can do the same with train stations. So if I just start on one side of the island and I drag it to the other side of the island, you'll see that the default option a lot of the times doesn't work, or it'll just be weird and radically expensive when it doesn't need to be. So you can press the M and the N keys. The M key makes it go up, and the N key makes it go down, in that case underwater. So mom key and no key make it go up and down. But say you don't want a massive arch like this. That's a very big arch. You want something in between this big old arch and this literally in the water. You can hold the shift button to go in very small increments just like that. So you can do this if you want a very small bridge, something like that, you can do it. Additionally, say you don't want the bridge to come down in the same spot. Say you want the bridge to remain elevated like I have over here. Let me just go ahead and raise the bridge a little bit so this example you can actually see it a little bit better. I'm going to hold the shift key and press down just a couple times to roughly match that one's height, the other one's height. And say we want it to keep the same altitude on the end of the bridge. You can press the comma and the period keys to adjust the end of the bridge's height. So the M and N keys adjust the center of the bridge like that, and the comma and the period keys adjust the end of the bridge over here like that. So it's really cool. The starting point will remain unchanged, but you can always start your bridge right here and then finish it and then continue building it out from here. But those are a couple very useful keyboard shortcuts, and with the comma and the period button, the shift key works for micro adjustments here as well. And the shift key is actually an extremely versatile button. Say we want to place a building down, like maybe a road depot right here. Let me just go and grab one really quick. And then if you place the building so it roughly aligns with the street, it'll automatically snap into the grid just like this. If you don't want it to snap to the grid, hold the C button. So when I press the C button now, it will not snap to the grid. And again, the M and N keys are what is actually going to turn the building, but say that's a little bit too much for you. While holding the C button, you can also hold the shift button, and it will go in smaller increments. But say even that is too much hassle, if you want an even quicker way to spin buildings, you can let go of the keyboard entirely, and you can hold the shift button, just the shift button, and then if you press the left mouse button at the same time, you can actually spin the buildings with your mouse. So right now I'm just holding the shift button and then spinning my mouse while I'm holding the left mouse button as well. And the usefulness of the shift button actually doesn't even end there. Say this isn't such an isolated street that it is right now. Say this is like part of a bigger hub and we have lots of trucks coming and going. We would want to upgrade this road to beyond just a 2-lane road to accommodate more traffic. But if we go in here and we select a 4-lane road, for instance, and click the upgrade button right here, it doesn't look like we can upgrade this road because it clips into this industry. And that's really inconvenient because it's a large part of this road. It goes a long way, quite a ways into the distance, and we can't upgrade it because of this silly little clipping right here. Well, you can actually hold the shift button to upgrade parts of a road, to just upgrade a couple segments. So if you hold the shift button, and in our case, we'd want to upgrade as close to this as possible where we can actually do it, we can upgrade that part of the road, and now we can upgrade the rest of the road just fine, which if in this case, we don't have that much traffic, but again, if there was a lot of traffic coming through here, you would definitely want to be able to upgrade roads like this, and using the shift button to be able to upgrade parts of the road in little segments is super helpful. And I have one more tip for the shift key. It just keeps on giving. If I find a train, potentially a long train, like maybe one that goes between the East Cargo Yard and the West Cargo Yard right here. Again, I did all of this live in my Island Hopper playthrough, so if you want to see me make all these trains, go check that out. But we have some trains that are, how long is this one? This train is 597 meters, just about as big as the game will allow, and it looks like it's actually going pretty quick right now. But if you're early game, or in general if you ever want to add another engine, it might be helpful to be able to flip the engines around. So if I go find this engine, just like this, it looks like it got upgraded to this new livery. It's facing the wrong way. I guess there's not technically a wrong way with locomotives. They work either way, but say we want these to face the same direction. All you have to do is hold the shift key, and then that X that would normally delete the train flips into a flip vehicle button. And that's all you have to do. It works for anything. If you want to flip the gondolas around, you can. I don't think it makes that much of a difference, but certainly for the locomotives, it makes a fairly big difference. Just hold the shift button and then the delete turns into a flipped vehicle. And now we have a cool looking train that has enough engines that are facing the nice, satisfying direction. And speaking of trains, you'll get bonus realism points if you have the train blow their horn whenever they go over road crossings like this, or whenever they go into tunnels like this over here. And I'm sure you guys know that there are waypoints you can put down. One of them is just a regular waypoint, but the other one over here says passing trains use their horn. And if we take advantage of our handy dandy eyeball trick we learned earlier to select this line, you'll notice that I actually do not have the waypoint selected, and that is because the passing trains will blow their horn just if they run by this waypoint. It does not actually have to be a part of the line itself in the line manager. So let's just go ahead and watch this train and see it happen. And here we go, and I just have to point out that look at how long this train is, and all the cars all have variety on them. That's one thing I love in my playthroughs. But let's go ahead and watch this train pass. And there we go. So just an easy, quick way to add some realism points. I had always done it where I go in and manually add every single horn waypoint into the line manager itself, but you don't have to do that, you just have to put it on the tracks. And my last tip for this video is, say you want to enjoy a certain time period. Of course, we're in modern day now, but if you're throughout history and you want to enjoy a certain time period, maybe you want to enjoy some planes, or maybe we're in the modern day and we just want to stop time to not have us go too far into the future, all you have to do to slow down time, you don't need any mods or anything, you just come down to the bottom right of the screen down here, and you can adjust the date speed. In our case, we'd want to adjust the date speed in half so that now the days tick half as fast. Maybe we want to play in a fourth date speed so that the days pass a fourth as fast, or maybe we want to just enjoy a time period and just stay in one time period. We can also just fully pause time like this, and then as you can see, the simulation will still run, everything is still moving, but the time will not change. And the vice versa also applies. If you want to speed up time for whatever reason, you can also just increase the passing of time like so, but it is a very easy vanilla way to enjoy certain time periods if you so choose. I do have a couple tips on passenger stations as well. For instance, if we open up the line manager and we see the dark green express line has its own really big platform because it's a bigger train, and then the light green commuter train has its own smaller platform, both as part of the same station. That is going to be a large amount of information, enough for its own video for sure, so I'll link it down in the description, but I really hope you learned something from this one, guys. If you have anything else that I missed or that you want to add, definitely leave them in the comments for myself and others. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.